You know what's, I've got a bone to pick. And I don't know if this is appropriate place for it, which obviously means that it's the appropriate place for it, because all we do here is what's not appropriate for this place. So, and I'm going to play in a little bit. There's something else that chaps my hide. You guys know what chaps my hide? People who are not nice. Not nice people. Mean people. And I'm going to say this, and this will be one of my lesser funny intros, but coaches out there, be nice to other coaches. Like,
yes,
it's not that hard. Like, it doesn't require a whole lot of extra effort. I'm in one of the groups. I don't think it was in one of our groups, but I'm in a group, and somebody asked a question, and just the amount of the sheer amount of snark, in the answers, like, that's so unnecessary. You guys know how I got here, how I became the Ren Jones that you know and love and some tolerate. I was nice to people. Yeah. That's it. My unique skill set is that I'm likable. And that's about it.
It's true.
Like,
I liked you within a minute of meeting you. I was like, we're going to be friends.
We can agree, Jonathan, that I'm marginal in almost every other area. I'm towing the line.
I don't know you well enough to argue that. I mean, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, just go with it, Jonathan. This is a podcast. Just let me have my minute.
We're supposed to improv. Yes, and Dren.
Yes, and I'm average at best in most areas. But where I excel in not being a total asshole. Like, I excel at that.
And a lot isn't it incredible though? Like, we get it in our group. I mean, Amber's seen it.
Crazy.
We get it in our group too. It's just like, this person is asking a legitimate question about something they're confused upon or not quite clear upon. And you're like, how are you a professional working with other people? It's like, because I'm passionate about learning things and getting better and helping people. Right. And you do that by asking other smart people and having respectful discourse.
Isn't that pretty much the point of having a group? To ask stuff you don't know?
Yeah.
Like what else do you what else you expect people to do in a group except ask questions about things they don't know? Like, nobody was born well, I know a couple of people, but nobody was born a trainer. You had to learn stuff and you messed it up. Here's my public service
for 10 years before they became trainers.
And I was marginal at that. That just proves what I said earlier. But, it doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort. You don't even have to be nice. Just don't be a dick. Like,
don't say anything.
Let's
just don't say
start
anything.
There.
Like the bar is so low. How can you mess this up, right?
Super low. Like, you don't have to be, I'll be engaging and nice and stuff. Like, let me handle that. Just don't be a jerk. Like, that's enough. Because you guys are ruining, and this isn't what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about optimizing your process, by optimizing things in the process to create value. And we're going to talk about that later. But at the very least, just don't be super awful as a human. Like, if you can manage not to be super awful, that'll take you places your skill set will never go.
Places you'll go.
Right, the places you'll go.
People will work with other people that are nice people that they like being around. I mean, that's just how everything works. Basically, any opportunity that you have, it's like you could be really, really good at what you do, and not good to work with, and might get some opportunities. Or you could be really good to work with, and not great at what you do and get some opportunities. But if you're really, really good at what you do and you're great to work with,
oh man,
there's basically no way that you can.
The world is your oyster.
It really is, Keto. It really is. So that's our public service announcement for today on the online.
And I think we need to adapt our jingle a little bit.
Okay.
Oh.
For a segment that chaps Ren's hide.
We do need a. I'm gonna go in the lab.
I've got it.
You got it?
This is the thing that chaps Ren's hide. That chaps Ren's hide. That chaps.
Oh
boy, this just gets better and better. Amber is face palming as hard as she can. She's like, no.
Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder,
and you know what else, Ren?
Jonathan Goodman, greatest voices of our time.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Goodman, and welcome to the Online Trainer Show. Today is episode 22. If you're paying attention, that is the second palindrome episode that we have on this show. The first one was 11. The second one's 22. The next one, what is it?
26.
It's going to be 33, right? 33 is going to be the next one. And today we're talking about optimizing every aspect of the online training process. Thanks for being here.
This is the Online Trainer Show, Trainer Show, Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
Johnny, do you know who really optimizes things for me?
What's that?
PT Distinction. PT Distinction is a cutting-edge software designed purely for online coaches to help them save time, expand their reach, and get back to doing what they do best, helping clients get amazing results. We've got an offer for you at PT Distinction, 60 days at no cost, negotiated by Jonathan Goodman. Going over to onlinetrainer.com/PTD, claim your offer there. They're amazing. We're amazing. You're amazing. Thanks for being here. Not to be outdone, the Online Training Academy. Nice, I'm all over the place. We're all amazing. This because we're not jerks, huh? Rewind, replay the first part of this show. You really need to focus on that. This Online
is
Trainer,
not the part of the show that chaps runs high.
No, this is not the part. But we have a clever jingle for the part that does chap my high. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Your singing voice never fails to astound me. Receive that however you want to.
I feel like this is how we wash your hands, like children's group that has the rights to that song is going to come after us.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, you have offended our trademark in Romania for...
I think you're thinking a little bit too highly that they are ever tuning into this podcast, Jonathan, but I don't like to kill your dreams. So you dream on, brother. The Online Trainer Academy, it helps you make more money, have more freedom, and help more people. onlinetrainer.com/academy, I think is the link there. And if it's not, we'll find another link for you. Amber will put it in the show notes. It all falls back to her anyway. So we're talking about optimization. You know who optimizes this podcast? Catalina Belmares. Yeah. I mean, we'd be much less optimized.
That was the least enthusiastic woo.
Yeah. She totally phoned that in. Like there was no depth to that whatsoever. Because
post vacation Carolina.
Right.
Trying to get back in the groove of things.
Jonathan, she's dropped off a bit, since vacation. I mean, I don't like to call you out on the podcast, Carolina, except when we're recording a podcast, but your intensity level, it's down a bit. It looks like, post vacation, she's like, why am I even here? As opposed to pre-vacation when we were asking why was she even here. So Keto, tell us what's important in your life right now. Talk to us. Share with the people.
Important in my life right now is I'm still trying to figure out I found out while conducting research about how to keep mosquitoes at bay in my upcoming camping trip. I found out that the Victoria's Secret perfume that's called Bombshell that I happen to own is actually a mosquito repellent, and nobody knows why because it's a secret formula, so they don't know what the active ingredient is. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm dousing myself in that so I smell amazing and mosquitoes leave me alone. Quick you heard it here first. And we need that as a sponsor, Amber.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
You owned the Bombshell perfume.
Yes.
Before you found out that it was mosquito repellent. So you went to the store and you looked at all of the perfumes on the shelf and you said, Bombshell, that's the one for me. Is that?
No, actually, the legitimate story is that was a gift from the mayor. So there you go.
So the mayor, okay. No, that's legitimate because us men don't know how to pick perfumes. And to be honest, if I would look at a wall of perfumes and one of them said Bombshell, I'd be like, yo, that's the one I'm getting for. So I'm with you. If they had one called Steakhouse, I think I would have gotten that one. But
So So yeah, he accidentally got me like awesome smelling mosquito repellent.
I mean,
I'm not
just
complaining.
another feather in the mayor's cap is all that is.
There's so much to unpack here. we would legitimately need another podcast just for the purposes of unpacking this conversation. We don't have that kind of time today because we've got to talk about optimizing things to make things better. Can I be honest? I'm not really clued in on the subject matter today. I'm going to fall back because I know the other people here are going to give us great information. So I'm just going to put myself on snooze and 20 minutes? 20 minutes I'll wake up?
How long we got?
Sound good?
I gotta set my alarm.
Long enough to wrap up the show? That'll give me 5 minutes at the end to wrap this thing up. So you guys take it away. I'm going to have a little drink here and get a hot toddy.
Thank you.
And I'll check back in. Yeah, I'll check. I got my watch set. I'll check back in a minute.
Thank you, and as always, for your incredible contribution.
It's what I do. All superheroes don't wear capes, Jonathan. Some wear Nike hats. So we're optimizing things. Help me understand. Like, I'm a student here on this episode. Help me understand first. What are we even talking about? Like what are we? How are we optimizing the process, and how does it add value? Like, I generally don't get it yet.
I'm going to paraphrase that question. I'm going to be honest with you. I saw this topic for this podcast this morning, and I had no clue what y'all were talking about. So I'm going to just go into this thing. I'm going to improv. I'm going to ask about what's going on with Carolina, and I'm going to just shut off my mic and snooze for 20 minutes.
Now I know where my diary went.
Optimizing means that you look at every touch point of the interaction, or even before you have an interaction with a paying client, like during the prospect cycle and marketing cycle, and you look at all of the small details and you look for ways to, in my words, get a disproportionately large result in exchange for time and money invested. Very few people do this, and the reason why I love it so much is it actually has, in my eyes, from a business sense, it actually has more opportunity than most of the things that we see every single day, because most of the places where you can show up in very unexpected ways are actually very repetitive, boring, everyday experiences for somebody, like getting a receipt, for example, after they pay something, where people just kind of expect it to be mundane and ritualistic. And if you can optimize that or make that special in any small way, and there's often ways where you can make that special in a lot of small yet like significant ways for oftentimes even no extra time or money, but sometimes even a little bit of extra time and money, you will stand out so much. And it's really not that hard to do. It just requires you to think a little bit and to do like the most basic, what's called kind of customer journey mapping. And so the easiest way to start this is just, I'll do it with a whiteboard, or I'll do it with like sticky notes up on the wall. It doesn't really matter. But you basically look and say, okay, from the minute that a client, say you start from when a client has actually bought with you, because journey mapping during the marketing cycle was much more confusing and conflated. So I don't think we even have time to talk about that. There's a lot more different things to talk about. But once somebody buys, what you do is you basically go through the entire process. It usually only takes an hour or two. And you just write down, the first step is to write down every single interaction you have with that person. It could be interaction that you have with that person. It could be interaction that a machine controlled by you has with that person, i.e. an automated email receipt after they pay. Or they get sent their login information to your software, whatever it is. And so the first step is just to write down all of that stuff. And so let's say we're using Post-it notes on the wall. So you have a Post-it note on the wall, and you use yellow Post-it notes, and you just write down what happened, okay? Customer puts in their information on the page. They get a receipt email. They get a welcome email or text message. Those two things happen automatically. A few hours later, within 24 hours, I want to follow up with them personally. when are you going to send the workout to them? Okay, well, I'm going to send the workout to them within 7 days. Okay, so how's that communicated to them that they're going to get the workout, when they're going to get the workout, how they're going to get to the workout? And so you see how this starts to build out, right? Even over the process of you working with that person, how do you send in your check-ins? How do they send them in to you? And walk through all of these steps. And then you need to look at not necessarily where a lot of people who do these types of exercises will look at where the person is, where the customer is physically when this happens. One of the things that I've learned, because I've been in a lot of workshops and stuff for this, just because I'm so fascinated by it. And then I've actually begun to teach some workshops at some kind of high-end like business events for customer experience. And one of the things that I think is really, really important that you're seeing come out more and more is not actually trying to match the experience to where the customer is, but trying to match the experience to where the customer is emotionally. Mm-hmm. And so how are they feeling after they've just bought? Mm-hmm. Well, they might be feeling nervous.
Right.
If they don't know who you are and you're on the internet and you're in a different place, they might be feeling like, what the heck did I do just now? Are people going to laugh at me? If I tell somebody I love that I just signed up for this thing, are they going to say, oh, you just got scammed and you're going to feel stupid? Are you super excited? Can you meet them there? Can you celebrate them? And admit to them and basically voice how they're feeling and move them to the next step. Basically say, hey, I totally get that you might be feeling this way. Here's what we're going to do next. And then the most important thing, this is actually a question that Alex Cartmill, who's the Online Trainer Academy head coach, asks. And we wrap it up with all of our OTA coaches and our online trainer coach and our fitness coaching service. We're including this in the onboarding as well, is people need to know from the minute they buy exactly who to contact, how to contact, and that it's okay to contact that person if they're ever feeling anything but 100% positive about the experience.
Love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what so often happens is somebody maybe doesn't feel so good about a part of the experience. Even as mundane, we just had this with Brent in our Online Trainer Academy level 2. Course.
Yes, I saw that. Fascinating.
So Brent had a client that signed up for a signature program. I can't remember what he charges, $1,200 or $1,500, like his signature program. Mm-hmm. And this client signed up for it. And from what Brent said, he was super excited. They had a lot of conversations beforehand, stuff like that. Signed up the next day, asked for a refund. And he asked for a refund based off of he had trouble logging into the system. So he had trouble accessing the tech. And basically, Brent showed the message, and the message kind of said, I really don't think that this is for me. I think that I really need somebody in person. I don't want to spend all of my time trying to figure out technology. I want to spend my time working out and getting towards my goals. Yeah. So anyway, like there might be a way, so Brent's getting it. This has just happened today, so we don't know what the stunning conclusion is to this saga. Right. But what we do know is that, because we've had this happen to us with the Online Trainer Academy, where somebody has not had an email delivered to them because their email service has blocked it. Or here's the kicker, they entered in a typo when they entered in their information. And so they didn't get the email because there was a typo, obviously. And that happens, like using your thumbs on a phone, like you've got typos. Whatever, it's perfectly fine. But because they didn't know who to contact and where to contact and when to expect a response and how to expect a response, they kind of let it fester for a little bit of time. And at that point, when they kick back a message to you after these negative feelings have been harboring and festering for a while, the knee-jerk reaction is, I need a refund. Right. And at that point, it's very, very difficult. So step one, like we do it on the redirect page. So there can't be any errors, even if they have a typo on the redirect page in big letters. If you have any trouble anywhere, or you are not feeling 100% positive at any point in time, this is my personal email. This is my phone number. This is however you want to communicate, right? I want to hear from you. You are never bothering me.
Right.
Like, don't ever think that way. That needs to be on step one. I mean, that's not so much how to optimize the process. That's how to get in front of it. I mean, we took down our refund rate for the Online Trainer Academy. We have basically two refund rates that we look at. One is total refunds, and then one is what we call dissatisfaction refunds. Basically, one is like, we call it my spouse got pissed off at me refunds.
Right.
which like happens every few weeks.
Right.
When somebody kicks back a day after they bought before they've logged in and they say, hey, I changed my mind, and they've never opened the thing and they ask for a refund, it's like your spouse got pissed off at you for buying the thing.
Yeah.
You know? So we don't count that in our refund rate. I mean, there's not really much like customer research that we can do there. But dissatisfaction refund rate, we took down from about 5% to 1%. And we didn't do anything to improve the quality of our materials to take that down, which is the most interesting part. What we did is we improved the communication on day one.
Mm-hmm.
In telling people what to expect, when to expect, and most importantly, exactly where to go and who to go to if they ever needed anything at any time.
Yeah.
And then walk them through with a video of exactly how their portal works, where everything is. I'll give you an example from our online trainer coaching program that's starting up, where we're doing fitness coaching for personal trainers to be the world's first service for that. And on the email that comes in when the program is delivered, basically they get an email. The way that we're structuring it is there's a deadline for signing up. Then they have 3 days for filling out their intake. And then we have 7 days to create their program is the way that it's timed. And we do it in 3-month cohorts. So that process repeats itself every 12 weeks. So you can imagine there, it's very important in all of the marketing materials, on all of the sales pages, to communicate the dates very specifically in everything we're doing. And send reminders and stuff like that. But then when they actually get the email with their program, in that email, we have a 2-minute, it'd be like a 2.5-minute video that actually says, you don't need to watch this if you don't want, but we thought you might want to get acquainted with your dashboard before you actually go in there so you know where things are. And then once you log in, there's 2 messages from your coach for you. One is a more thorough video of how to use the dashboard and how to download your app on iOS or Android, if you know, whatever it is, and navigating you on there, and then a welcome message with your coach in the next steps. And so we actually have a 2-minute video in the email showing how to log into the dashboard and where to find those messages. You see what I mean? There can't be anything left to search for the person, because you've got to control everything that you can control. And you don't want any unknown. You don't want any discomfort. So that's kind of the basics of like kind of meeting somebody where they're at before they're on day one. And I do want to talk about a few very specific things to like optimize different aspects of it. But the second is something we've spoken about on previous episodes, which if you're in Romania, you probably listened to. and it's this idea of you kind of know, like we kind of know from all research of adherence and success in any kind of programs, and fitness programs are really big here. When somebody signs up, they're generally pretty gung-ho. They're going to like kick it for the first week, 2 weeks. And then week 2 to week 3, they're going to start to fall off.
Yep.
And we just know this. I mean, you do this, I do this, everybody does this. It's just life starts to get in the way. You're super excited and you might see some initial results in the first week and you feel good, you're in a new habit. And then after 3 weeks, it's like, I've been doing this for a little while. And like, this is actually a distraction from my life, and I'm not seeing the results that I want yet, because obviously results take more time than 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And motivation just starts to wane, and we start playing all these scenarios in our head and making excuses to ourselves of why we're not going to do it and why it makes sense not to do it. I mean, we all do these things. I do these things too. Everybody does these things. And so you as a coach need to know that they're going to be there emotionally at 2 to 3 weeks. What can you do to show up proactively in that time? You send them a text message 2 weeks in. Hey, what's up, Amber? Just want to check in, see how you're feeling. Looks like you're going pretty well, but I know around this time, sometimes work can start to get in the way a bit. So yeah, do you want to have a chat? Whatever. right? Just anything to reach back in. I mean, we send a notepad to people in the mail with the Online Trainer Academy a few weeks in. Just something to say, just to remind them. Think of it this way. It could manifest itself in a lot of different scenarios, but metaphorically, all you want to do is just put your arm around that person's shoulder and just say, yo, I got you. I got your back. And that's often enough to keep them going. But if you don't show up there, a lot of people will fall off. I want to hear from Amber, because Amber is really, really good at this. I love it when we call Amber and she gets
like,
all,
what?
like, what?
You woke her up.
Bring it, Amber. Bring it.
I know. But I want to hear from you, Amber, because you're so good at this in just meeting people where they're at emotionally and working with our students too for the Online Trainer Academy, but also with your own clients. Like, can you talk to day one, talk about like the first month life cycle of some of the things you do, some of the things you've noticed in your clients, how they're feeling?
Yeah, I think when they first purchase, they're at peak excitement, peak motivation. And, usually within 24 to 48 hours is kind of an oh shit moment. For various reasons. What have I done? I've spent money that my family needs, whatever. So trying to get ahead of that, obviously I have the welcome packet that I send out overnight to help get them excited and also to give them homework. So that way they're actively working on their journey, even when I'm building out their program.
Talk about the homework, because that is brilliant. Talk about what you want to achieve with the homework. Talk about what the homework is.
Sure.
Talk about what you want to achieve with it, because I want to make sure that people really
understand that
and feel that.
Yeah. So in the welcome packet, I have, and actually this is not the bracelet, but I have, and this is a podcast, but if you go watch the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it. I have these bracelets that I send through Zox, and on the inside it says, I am blank. And so their homework assignment is to look through the list of affirmations that I give them, and they can create their own, but their job is to have a focus word or two that they are going to keep with them throughout their journey with me. And then they are to take a picture of it and post it in the Facebook group. So that way they can introduce themselves, get some positive feedback, but also to have them actively working on their journey and hopefully starting off in the right mindset.
I love that. It's a quick win.
Mm-hmm.
It's a quick win. And it's almost like a distraction also from how they might be feeling. It's emotional. I don't know. Magic isn't the right word. It's like emotional maneuvering, right? You're basically saying, I know you might be feeling not so positive, so I'm going to force you to say something positive. That is like, that's straight up eat, pray, love stuff. I love it. And what a great way to meet people where they're at. Like, understand that, yeah, you need some time to put together their program. There's going to be a bit of a lag.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just meet them there right away and kind of get them to do something positive through that lag so they enter in your program. So keep talking then as your program goes on.
Yeah, so after that, I usually send a video, just super excited video, say, hey, like your program's up, ready to go. And I usually will try to do like a screen share of what that looks like, how to navigate it. And just to, reaffirm like, hey, I'm here if you need anything. And, super excited to work with you, that kind of thing. And then I have a bunch of messages that are kind of pre-done, and then I'll kind of go in and edit based on what I know about the person. Anything from like, I think I've mentioned before, I have a client that's really into anime. And so like I've scheduled things that are meaningful to her. I had to do a little bit of research to figure it out because I know nothing about anime, but like scheduling anything from memes to, TED Talks that I thought she might be interested in, articles that might be meaningful to her as a single mom, that kind of thing. And then come week 3, like you mentioned earlier, trying to get ahead of that lull that tends to happen of, okay, I'm over this because I'm not seeing change, or maybe I've already effed up somewhere along the lines, therefore I want to quit. And so usually scheduling a video that I send about weight fluctuation and what weight loss actually looks like, because obviously it's not linear. So it could look like X, Y, or Z, just to kind of reinforce that, like, you're not broken, you don't suck, like none of that, like this is normal part of the process.
That's so awesome. We should get you talking more on this, Amber.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah. You did so well both times, though, Amber. I mean, it's really, really adding value.
Dude, your pigmentation is fundamentally changed.
Yeah, it's all over
red.
the spectrum right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Aw,
Yeah.
blush.
But the craziest thing is, and this I guess is because there's so much muscle blocking it, but your deltoids haven't changed. just your face is all red, but your deltoids are just pure muscle.
Delt's on point. So if I may interject here, because I think I'm slowly coming to an understanding of what we're talking about on the podcast today.
Yeah, no,
right
it's
at the
good.
very end.
It actually took you less time.
Took me less time than I thought.
Sure.
You know, so optimizing is sort of getting out ahead of things for the most part, having an understanding of what your client's going to go through, getting out ahead of that. And by optimizing by optimizing your sort of predetermined responses, understanding the flow, it creates more value for the client simply due to the fact that there are things that they just never run into.
Mm-hmm.
It's more value, but they may not be aware of it because, you know, it's like preventing, you know, it's like trying to take a preventative action. You don't know if it worked because hopefully the thing never happened.
Right.
But because the thing never happened, you're not sure it'll work, but you know there's more value in not running into the problem.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's good. I mean, a great coach anticipates a lot of things that are going to happen and navigates around them. So you don't know. Here's what I think is really fascinating. When you're in a amazing customer experience situation, when you're in a store that maybe I mean, I've studied, just because I think it's so interesting, I've studied so much about how grocery stores are laid out, about how clothing, and down to the music that they play, how they navigate people around, how the people at the shop interact with you, when they come up to you, when they don't come up to you, all of that kind of stuff. And you don't actually notice when it's done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so natural.
It's smooth.
It's smooth.
Yeah.
Like butter.
And like think of this. I mean, this is again like a grocery store example, which has nothing to do with online training, but it actually has a bit to do with like upsells and how to make more at the point of purchase. Because if you want to make more money, you can do it 3 ways. You can get more clients, you can get more customers, right? That's way number 1. Number 2 is you can have more transactions per customer, i.e. you can offer the same people more stuff. Or number 3 is you can charge more per customer. You can raise your prices. That's literally the only 3 ways that you could make more money in business.
Mm-hmm.
And so all 3 actually can increase your revenue the same amount. Most people focus on the first one of just getting more customers.
Right.
And but really smart businesses don't. And so one of my favorite examples is grocery stores actually found out this is why behavioral psychology is so fascinating. They figured out, I can't remember, I think this was in the UK somewhere, but they basically, most people when they go into a grocery store, especially like a neighborhood little like grocer, pick up a basket, right? They're like, I don't need that many things. I'm just going to pick up a basket. They don't take a big grocery cart. We know that when you have a bigger bucket, or even in nutrition science, we know this. If you have a bigger plate, you're going to eat more food.
Yeah,
if you have a smaller plate, you're going to eat less food. Like that's just how we work. If you have a bigger basket, you're going to buy more stuff because you have a bigger basket. Those like all you can eat froyo type things. If you actually look at the design of the bowl, next time you go there, if ever you can go outside in public again, go like look at the design of one of these bowls. They're not just massive, but they're deep. And they're deceivingly deep. So the middle of the bottom of the bowl actually caves down. That's awesome. Done on purpose so you don't realize how much you're putting into it because you pay by weight.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what this grocery store did is they basically went to this behavioral psychology firm and said, okay, like marketing firm, and they said, okay, how can we increase the amount of money that people spend? Well, okay, maybe we can have more sales. You know, they did everything that they thought. Maybe we can have more sales. Maybe we can offer more coupons. Maybe we can market more. And this marketing company said, you game to try and experiment with us? I said, yeah. Like, okay. Well, we know that people buy more stuff if you give them a bigger cart. So you have baskets. We stood at the front, and what these companies will do is they'll actually measure, and they'll calculate. They'll say, okay, this many people walked into the store. Here's exactly what they did. And they'll literally map them walking through the store and create algorithms based off of that to see where they walk, how they walk, and change the design in order to get you to buy more. And so they said, all of these people walking into your store, the majority of them are being baskets. And people are actually filling up their baskets pretty well. Well, what if we strategically placed shopping carts here, 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 and here throughout your store? And they did that. And they had something like a 20% increase in the average customer value. Because what people did is they were walking around the store and they were carrying the basket, and they were like, you know, this basket's getting a bit heavy. This is kind of uncomfortable. And they're like, oh, a shopping cart. Oh, great. And they grabbed the shopping cart and they put the basket inside. And they're like, and then they just started to buy more stuff to put in the shopping cart.
Sneaky. Love
right?
it.
How could you, I mean, talk about like optimizing something in just the littlest way in order to get a big return. Isn't that amazing? So how can you apply that example to your business to kind of meet people where they're at emotionally? If you know that 3 weeks in, they're going to be feeling this. If you know that at point of purchase, they're going to be saying, okay, this sounds great, but like, maybe I need nutrition. I did a talk yesterday for a high-end mentorship of gym owners. So basically micro gym owners. So like people who own 1 to 3 to 4 locations. There was like 50 or 60 people on the talk. It was one of these like high-end mentorships. Great group of gym owners, obviously hit by COVID-19 quite a bit. And they brought me in to talk to them about online training. And there are a lot of amazing remote nutrition companies.
Yeah.
That you can delegate to.
Use them,
Like my buddy Mike Dola at Stronger You, like use them. Renaissance Periodization, like use them. Like they're great. They're great companies. And they'll give you a cut of the action and you'll get profit and your clients will be taken care of. Like for opportunities like that.
Don't reinvent the wheel. If I can add, like making a further case for the whole need to optimize, another important aspect to remember is that a lot of clients are like me. Like, for example, as much as I love diving into new things, the reality too is that for some reason, I struggle a lot with anything that has to do like with paperwork. So for example, if I were to hire somebody and they sent me a chunk of paperwork to fill out, it's like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this. Like my brain immediately fizzes out and it's like, nope, can't do. And it's just for me, I mean, there's a history of why, and I'm trying to get better. But in the meanwhile, you would be losing me as a client and the thousands and millions of people in the world whose brains operate like mine. So how can you optimize so that you don't lose us in the process? If we get too intimidated by your lengthy way of doing things and complicated way of doing things, we are going to be much like that client that we saw in the level 2 group of the client saying, I already paid you, give me my money back because this is not for me. Because you're already, you're feeling defeated, you're feeling dumb. Because that's what happens. There's a lot of shame that comes from not being able to complete processes like this. So make it simple, because there are, the correct term is, neurodiverse people who perceive information very differently from you. So take that into account. And how can you make it easy for those of us who maybe don't have a diagnosis, but definitely operate like that? There's tons of us. Don't lose us. Don't lose the chance to get our money.
That's such a
I will
point.
Take any opportunity to get your money as possible. I will not make you fill out any paperwork. You can just give me money.
That's such a great point, though, Carol, because in this business, one tendency that I see is the tendency to overcomplicate out of some sense of intellect.
Yes,
You know?
we want to look super professional. Okay,
Super
fine.
smart.
Yeah, be professional and be smart, but make it simple for us
Mm.
because otherwise we won't want to pay you.
That's such a great optimization in and of itself, to just simplify to the point, you know. And we'll wrap this up. I know we're a little bit over time, but I just got off a call with a coach, an OTA student who was trying to write her 5-160, and she was saying things like, yeah, I work with occupational therapists, and I help them optimize their health and nutrition by, like, I was like, are you saying you help them get stronger and last longer through the day when they're working with patients? She was like, yeah. I was like, let's go with get stronger and last longer through the day when they're working with patients. Like,
Yeah.
One simple optimization hack is just to simplify it. And that's a good lesson for me, Keto, because I have a tendency to overcomplicate my processes to make them shiny and fancy. And we can all stand to really simplify our processes to optimize and create better value for the client.
Absolutely.
Good point. Not that your points weren't good, Amber. You know, your points were good as well. She's making the face. Jonathan, your points were always nice too. Everybody gets an equal cup of Kool-Aid here. We're going to measure them side by side and make sure everybody has the same amount of juice in their cup.
I don't want Kool-Aid. I want some of that purple stuff. All right, we got to wrap up.
All right. Hey, this has been episode 22, a palindrome episode of the Online Trainer Show. The episode where Keto started off with Bombshell by Victoria's Secret and ended up with what was the word?
Neurodiverse.
Neurodiverse. And if that doesn't explain our show, nothing else does. Please go to our show notes. You can contact us at onlinetrainer.com. What's the thing? Was it onlinetrainer.com /podcast? OTA.com/podcast? Something. Show notes are there.
Stuff that chaps my hide. Chaps my hide.
Show notes are there. Leave us a review. We'll see you on episode 23. Oh, the Michael Jordan episode. He wore number 23. So come back to 23 for the Jordan episode of the Online Trainer Show. It's going to be phenomenal. This is a big deal now. We all perked up. Everybody's awake now. And we're like, oh my gosh. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for listening.